Picture this. You're standing on a sidewalk in Washington, D.C. Just a regular Tuesday. You've got your coffee, you're minding your business, and then, out of nowhere, sirens start screaming from every direction at once. Motorcycle cops blow through red lights like they don't exist. Black SUVs flood the entire road. We're talking every lane, both directions completely taken over. A massive limousine rolls through the middle of it all like a moving fortress. And above your head, 2 helicopters are circling in a tight loop. The whole street just stopped existing for regular people. And somewhere buried deep inside all of that chaos is one man, the most protected human being on the face of the earth. Now, most people, when they think about presidential security, they picture a couple of guys in sunglasses walking next to a politician on an airport. That's not even close. What actually surrounds the President of the United States is a multi-layered, military-grade, genuinely mind-blowing system that took over 100 years and multiple assassinations to build into what it is today. There are 9 distinct layers standing between the outside world and the President. 9, and each one is more intense than the last. Today, we're going through every single one of them, from the outermost edge all the way to the man in the center. Let's go. Level 1. Local law enforcement. The first wall. Days before the president even lands in a city, local police departments receive a classified briefing. They don't get the full picture. They never do, but they get their assignment. And their assignment is simple: lock it down. Roads along the Motorcade route get blocked off miles in advance. Not just the main road, every connecting street, every alley, every on-ramp. If you live anywhere near the route, your commute just got ruined. Sorry about that. Buildings along the route get physically swept floor by floor, every room, every stairwell, every rooftop access door. And here's one that always gets people: manholes. Every single manhole cover along the presidential route gets welded shut, physically welded, because someone at some point decided they needed to think about that. And honestly, fair enough. Rooftops don't stay empty either. Police snipers get posted up on key buildings with clean sightlines to the route. They're up there hours before the motorcade arrives, and they stay until it's long gone. The public? Pushed back behind steel barriers, sometimes an entire city block away from where the president will actually be. Local cops at this level don't know the full security plan. They don't need to. Their job is purely one thing: nobody crosses this line. That's it. That's the whole job. Level 2. Counter-surveillance teams. And this is where it starts getting genuinely fascinating, because most people have never heard of these guys at all. They have no uniform, they carry no visible weapons. They are standing right next to you in the crowd, and you would never know. Not in a million years. One looks like a tourist taking photos, one is jogging past with earbuds in. One is sitting at a cafe table with a laptop open and a coffee going cold. What they're trained to find is a specific type of behavior, someone paying attention in a way that regular people just don't. You know how when a motorcade goes by, most people look at it for a second and then go back to their phone? These agents are looking for the person who doesn't do that, the person whose eyes are locked on one specific spot, the person who walked the same block 3 times, the person whose hands are a little too still. If you do anything that triggers that trained instinct, you don't get arrested. Nothing that dramatic happens. But in the time it takes you to blink, your face has been photographed, your image has been run through facial recognition, and 3 people know exactly where you're standing. The threat gets flagged before it becomes a threat. That's the whole point. Level 3. The Uniform Division of the Secret Service. Now we're stepping through the gate, literally. This is the layer most people associate with the White House: the officers in the black uniforms, the ones standing at the iron fence on Pennsylvania Avenue, the ones running the checkpoints at the entrances to every building the president uses regularly. And unlike the counter-surveillance people, these guys want you to see them. That's intentional. Visibility is part of the deterrent. But don't get it twisted. These aren't security guards in the way you think of security guards. Every single uniformed division officer is a fully trained federal law enforcement officer. They carry firearms, they have arrest authority, they're trained in tactical operations, emergency response, and counterterrorism protocols. They run the magnetometers, they sweep vehicles, they control every single person who comes within the physical perimeter of the White House complex. Staff, journalists, foreign dignitaries, nobody skips the checkpoint. Not one person. Level 4. The Presidential Protective Detail. the PPD. Okay, now we're in the inner circle. These are the ones. The dark suits, the sunglasses, the earpieces. If you've ever seen a photo of the president in a crowd, the PPD agents are the ones whose eyes aren't looking at the camera. They're looking at you, the photographer. When he sleeps, agents are posted outside the door. When he eats, the kitchen was already swept. When he walks outside to get on the helicopter, that exact path has been surveyed and secured before his foot hits the first step. These agents train obsessively. Thousands of hours going into reading micro-expressions, detecting behavioral threat indicators, mastering defensive and offensive driving, tactical firearms, the whole picture. If a threat appears and there's no time to neutralize it, the agent's body goes in front of the president's body. That's not a figure of speech. That is literally written into the job. You agree to that when you take the position. Most PPD agents will serve their entire careers and nothing dramatic will ever happen on their watch. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
Level 5, the Motorcade, the moving fortress. When the president travels by ground, this is what rolls out, and the scale of it genuinely surprises people when they see it laid out properly. A standard presidential motorcade runs more than 40 vehicles. 40! It stretches for blocks. At the front of the convoy, police motorcycles clear the path, traffic lights, barriers, everything. Then there's a communications vehicle. This is essentially a rolling signals intelligence unit. It can jam certain frequencies, maintain encrypted communication channels, and make sure the president is never cut off from the chain of command regardless of what happens. There's a hazmat response vehicle on standby, there's a medical unit with trained paramedics and surgeons on board, and yes, somewhere in that convoy, quietly rolling along, is a vehicle carrying emergency blood supplies that match the president's blood type, just sitting there, just in case. Nobody talks about that one much, but it's there. And then there's the CAT unit, the counter-assault team. These are the operators riding in the black SUVs toward the rear of the convoy. Full tactical gear, assault weapons, and they are absolutely completely looking forward to someone trying something. That's their energy. That's their whole thing.
Level 6, the Beast, Cadillac 1, the presidential state car, and genuinely, one of the most remarkable machines ever built. Let's just go through what this thing actually is because the specs are insane. The doors are 8 inches thick. 8. That is the same level of armor plating you find on an M1 Abrams battle tank. The windows can stop armor-piercing rounds. 5 layers of glass and polycarbonate fused together. They're rated to take direct hits from military-grade ammunition, and they don't shatter. They deform slightly. That's it. The tires are run flat. Even if all 4 tires are completely shredded, blown out, destroyed, the car maintains full operational speed on reinforced steel rims underneath. You cannot stop this vehicle by shooting the tires. The fuel tank is sealed and foam-filled, which means it physically cannot explode. Even with a direct hit from a high-caliber round, no explosion. Inside the car, its own sealed oxygen supply in case of a chemical or biological attack in the surrounding air. Night vision cameras, tear gas launchers built into the exterior, a direct line to the Pentagon, bags of the president's blood type in a small refrigerator. The whole car weighs approximately 20,000 pounds. This is not a car. This is a bunker that learned how to drive. Level 7, the sky. Because the president doesn't just travel on the ground. And when he goes airborne, the entire security operation scales up in a way that most people never think about. Air Force One, the big blue and white 747. It's the most recognizable plane on the planet, which you'd think makes it a liability, but the plane itself is so capable that it doesn't matter. Air Force One can refuel mid-air, which means it can theoretically stay airborne indefinitely. It has hardened electronics that can withstand the electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear detonation. It carries its own medical suite, its own communication center, and the capability to function as a fully operational command center. The president can run the entire country from inside that aircraft without ever needing to land. And it never flies alone. Fighter jets maintain escort positions, ready to intercept any aircraft that enters a defined exclusion zone around Air Force One without authorization. Then there's Marine One, the presidential helicopter, and this one is my personal favorite security detail. Marine One never flies alone either. When the president takes a helicopter, a formation of identical VH-3D helicopters launches at the same time. All of them look exactly the same, all flying in close formation. From the ground, from another aircraft, from any surveillance position, nobody can determine which helicopter the president is actually aboard.
Level 8, the football. This one is different, because this isn't a layer of protection around the president's body.
Everywhere the president goes, a military aide stays within arm's reach, carrying a plain-looking black leather briefcase called the nuclear football. Inside it, a black book of nuclear strike options, authentication codes the president uses to verify his identity to the military chain of command. From the back of the beast, from a hotel room, from literally anywhere, the president can reach inside that briefcase and authorize a nuclear strike. The briefcase itself has a dedicated security detail watching it specifically, separate from the agents watching the president. Think about that for a second. There is security for the man, and then there is security for the briefcase that determines what that man can do.
Level 9, the final layer, and in a lot of ways, the most powerful one.
You will never see this layer. There's no uniform, no vehicle, no building you can point to and say, that's it right there. Around the clock, every single day, the NSA, the CIA, the DIA, the FBI's counterterrorism division, and more than a dozen other agencies are running active operations. Encrypted communications intercepted overseas. Social media accounts that post things that trigger algorithmic flags. Foreign intelligence signals picked apart by analysts who have been doing this for 20 years. Most genuine threats to a sitting U.S. president are detected and neutralized weeks or even months before they ever get anywhere near a physical layer of protection. The person never makes it to a street corner. They get a knock on their door long before that. The best security isn't the fastest reaction to a threat. The best security is the one that sees the threat forming while it's still just a thought in someone's head. 9 layers. Thousands of trained personnel across law enforcement, federal agencies, the military, and intelligence communities. A combined annual budget that runs into the billions. All of it running at full capacity, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Say whatever you want about politics. The system built to protect the U.S. president is one of the most sophisticated protection operations that human beings have ever constructed. It took disasters to build it. It takes thousands of people every single day to maintain it. And most of the time, it works so well that nobody ever knows it was working at all. That's kind of the point. If you made it through all 9 layers with me today, you already know what to do down there. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.